Welcome to Daily Conversation. This is
This is Eric.
today is the 28th of November 2021 and the time now is 6:17 a.m. Well, today our topic is talk about the benefits of learning history. Right? So before we get started, please click the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. All right, so here we go. So today we talk about history and the benefits of learning and then knowing. And for here, I try to find out the benefits, and then I myself am not a person that know history well, and today I come up with this topic. Wanted to know the purpose or some benefits to learn more about history. And after some thinking and then also some research in the internet, and then to me, I think uh, the main benefits of learning history can be there are three. And the first one is satisfy curiosity. For this one, it just requires us to maybe to read maybe your history book or to search online to know what's happening, and then it just like reading a storybook, and then maybe know about the origin of some countries, the origin of maybe some races, and then just know about what is happening in the past, and then just by doing this, and then it is able to satisfy our curiosity. So this is the first benefit. And then the second is to generate motivation. For this one, for some people, and then they uh, uh, when they are reading maybe something in the past, maybe they are reading, they are learning the history, and they find that maybe a particular person or a particular events um, is very maybe touching or is very motivating. So they get the benefit of motivation there. Um, and then also maybe some people when uh, they are learning the history about uh, his own country or his own race, and then maybe he gets some uh, motivations from the sense of identity. So this is the second benefit. And the third one, which is also I think this require uh, a higher level of uh, this is I think this is if the just now the first and the second benefits that I mentioned, I think they are maybe in level one. They are just some basic benefits, and the number three here is I think maybe is a level two or an upper level benefit, which is to cultivate critical thinking. For this one, um, uh, I think it requires us to obtain enough knowledge about the history so that you have the ability to do some critical thinking, to have this kind of critical thinking. And it requires maybe like you need to learn about the background of the history. You get enough knowledge about the background, and then you are able to find out the causality, and then you're also able to analyze the whole events, and then also being able to give your own opinion. And this is not that easy because sometimes when learning history, we can just know about the thing, and then uh, uh, sometimes you also don't fully understand the whole things happen, and then maybe at that time we just stop at the first and second benefit, which is like curiosity and motivation, and not necessarily comes to the third benefit, which is like critical thinking. And for me, this is like that. And then in my memory, when I was studying in secondary school, we have the history subject, and then uh, we yeah, there are 6 years of learning, and yeah, and then at that time maybe I didn't get actually the third benefit, which is the critical thinking, and maybe just some curiosity, and then just like reading a storybook, and then maybe more or less get some motivation, which is also maybe not a very strong motivation. Maybe it's just a short term one, and yeah. So I think to get the third benefit is actually one of the uh, one of the most important benefits that we can get from learning history. But uh, you need to spend some times, and then to learn it well, and then also spend some time to try to analyze, and then yeah, just like what I say, give some your opinion, and then also try to see other people's opinion on that particular history. So and then after that, I also have a feeling like actually history, when talk about the benefit of history, is a little bit similar to the benefits of what of seeing a movie. Yeah, and it can also like have different level of benefits. For example, some basic benefit is that it satisfy our curiosity, which we see the movie just maybe for pleasure, and then maybe just want to kill the time. Yeah, we have nothing to do, and then we just treat it as an entertainment. And then also some people also get motivated by some movie after they watch them, and then they have uh, some feeling, they feel motivated, and then mostly those motivation are short term, yeah, mostly. And then also some people, also not for all movies, some movies actually they are not just for entertainment. They are, some of them are for maybe education or philosophical. And then in that kind of movies, we can some people uh, can cultivate critical thinking. Yeah, and also just like the history, some people can get critical thinking, and for movie also. And then but I think the pre-required side of having critical thinking is that you need to understand the movie. Also for history, you need to understand it well, so that you can analyze, and then you can comes out with your thinking. Yep. So yeah, these are my sharing today.
Mm. When you say history, define history,
Sorry. Oh,
it means
the
yeah,
definition of history.
yes.
Yeah. History. I think uh, it can be anything that happened in the past, and they are recorded. And it can be your own history. It can be the history of a country. It can be a history of a culture. So yeah, those are the things that happened in the past, and has been recorded.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, for me, uh, the first benefits of learning history is history is a source of science and development path. And if we study the science, if we study everything, mathematics, every subject, everything, uh, everything in the world, every knowledge, every piece of information,
mm,
the the first important thing is whether the information whether information is useful to you or not. And then the second is also very important, which is the source. If the source come from is it come from bad source, and then the credibility is low. That means even though you think the information is good, is kind of like good information to you,
mm,
but actually the source is false information. I mean, uh, maybe some people make it make the information due to their motive. They change they they give you the false information. So you need to know about the source.
mm,
Source is important, and history is the source of everything. It's the source of the particular thing you want to learn. Every piece of information. Yeah, and specifically, history is a source of science and development part.
mm,
So we need to understand how we get to here. Let's say, for example, science. How we get a science? Yeah. What is the history of science? Initially, uh, initially we don't have science, and then how come right now we have so many um, we have so many proof, and we have so many scientists working on every subject, and then try to like find out some scientific methods, try to solve every every problem in the world. Maybe for example climate change, for example poverty, for
mm,
example global warming, for example uh, maybe diet, and also for example uh, maybe maybe the economic,
mm,
yeah, and also the society, how to solve a societal problem, yeah, and also about the technology, yeah, also a lot of scientists work on that, data scientists, and this is the development part. What I mean here is if you if you look at the part how they improve, and also what is the rate of change and how it changed, yeah, and then you can understand how we get to here. Yeah. So the source of the science and also the development part is allow us to understand how we get to here. So
mm,
this is the first thing. Yeah. And give you one analogy, which is you don't know. Uh, mm, for example, for example, uh, okay. For example, uh, you and or some other people, and they experience their life
mm,
from age 0 to maybe age 30 or age 45,
mm,
but they couldn't really remember what occurred, what they experienced in their early life,
mm,
and also they almost forget uh, everything in their life,
mm,
just except maybe the recent week or the recent months or the recent years,
mm,
and then or a people or a person, they lose their memory. Yeah, they just lose their memory. They don't know where they come from.
mm,
They don't know how he grew up. So if you don't study history, you are the persons like losing the memory, and you only live in the currents.
mm,
You can't understand how you get here. Mm. Yeah. So this is the first thing, and then the second is history is a backbone of statistics, mathematics, data analysis, or information analysis. Yeah, statistics, we know that because you need data to analyze. You need the past data, you need historical data to analyze something, and which is similar to data analysis and also information analysis. Information analysis, I mean here, which is we don't necessarily need data to do analysis. We don't do analysis based on data only. We also do analysis based on information. Every piece of information that human can access. So it's not only the figure, it's not the amount, it's not the number. Our brains is not good at analyzing all that things. You need to use some tools to help you, for example, computer, so you can understand the trends. And how about information analysis? Information analysis is one example. For example, some people ask you to do something, and let's say, for example, some people ask you to eat some weird fruit. Yeah, and you have never heard this before. Yeah, and then would you eat? Maybe yes, maybe no. Yeah, but how to analyze? How do you come out a decision whether eat it or don't eat it? Maybe you're based on color. Maybe you're based on the textures. Maybe you're based on the taste. Maybe you're based on how big, yeah, the size of the fruits, or the outlook. Yeah, so and why you use this information to analyze whether the fruits are edible or not. It's based on your knowledge. It's based on the history. Yeah, you didn't die in the past after eating all the fruits you have eaten, and then so you try to think, yeah, whether the color makes sense, whether the textures, whether the taste makes sense, and whether the size of the fruits makes sense. Yeah, so you use this information to help you make the decision. Yeah, although maybe it is not not correct. Your decision is not accurate, but you will use the information to make decision. And it's not only for fruits. It is for everything we experience in our life, whether to do one thing or not, whether to change our career or not. Yeah, whether to lend money to our friends or not. We will use information to do analysis, not necessarily the data. Sometimes we just can't get the data, but we will still use the information. We will still use something that we remember, something we heard from other people, something we see. Yeah. So this is about the information analysis. So this is a backbone of all of these things: statistics, data analysis, information analysis. Yeah. And the third is trend discovery. Yeah. So only you learn history, and then you know the source of the science and the development part, and then you know how you get to here, and then you understand this background of the analysis, every kind of analysis, and then you can start to extrapolate to the future, to make some predictions, to make the future predictions. Yeah, use the past data, use the historical data, and then extrapolate to try to analyze something. And what is the difference between this and the second point? Okay, the second point is kind of like interpolation, which is you try to find the similarity. You try to find the differentiations, and then you try to find the correlations. Yeah, so this is you try to understand whether you can compare apple to orange or not. Yeah, so that, for example, yeah, maybe some statistics found that you can you cannot lend money to fat people, okay? Because the rate, the probability of paying the money for fat people is low. Let's say, for example, I don't know, but one thing I sure is we don't lend money to the person who addicted to gambling. This is something that we know. So this is something that we get from our we get from the history. We learn from history. No matter what people, no matter the source. Maybe some people told us what we see, what we hear, what we read from the statistic, from the article, every piece of information, and then we form this thought, we form this idea. So we don't lend people to people who are addicted to gambling. Yeah. So this is one simple example, and this is but does it mean that you couldn't lend money to every gambler? Not the case, right? But you just use the correlation. Yeah, if they involve gambling, so the probability of their the probability of paying down the debt is low. Yeah, so you can't try to find out the similarity, differentiation, correlation, relationship. Yeah, so this is the difference between the second and the third. The third is the trend discovery, which is you extrapolate. You try to use this to estimate, to predict the futures. Yeah, for example, uh, yeah, let's say the bank want to lend you the money. The bank also will study your records, which is called the I forget the yeah I forget the exact terms. This is like something at the secrets report. Yeah, secrets report. In Malaysia we call secrets reports. And this is something similar to the credit score reports. Yeah, study your credit score. Whether you make payments on time, whether you make payment in advance, whether you have track of records. If you don't have track of records, like the blank Apple paper, bank also will hesitate to lend you money because they don't have anything to as a reference. Yeah, to refer. Yeah. Yeah, and bank try to use this information to extrapolate and try to find out whether you and also your job, maybe your income level, maybe your commitments, yeah, and also your health problems, and try and also and also your insurance, whether you have bought insurance or not, and the bank use all of this information try to predict whether you are able to repay the money. Yeah, so that they lend you the money. Yeah, if the probability is low, and then they'll lend you money. If the probability were high, they may not want to lend you money or maybe charge you a higher rate. Yeah, and how insurance company use history to do pricing, to adjust the pricing. Yeah, insurance company using this to do that. Not only use history to try to extrapolate, and also try to use interpolation. Yeah, try to find the similarities. And this is the third one. Yeah, and also like the for the third point, and also when we are doing investing, we are also try to use the historical data, use the background using history as a background of analysis and try to find correlations, try to find similarity, try to find differentiations, and also try to use history to extrapolate, to identify the trend, which is a trend discovery, so that we make the decisions, we make our investment decisions. Yeah. So every kind of decisions you definitely will use the second point. And maybe sometimes you use the third one, which is the extrapolations, identify trends. Yeah. Yeah. So the second is definitely more important than the third ones. Yeah. And also the first is also more important than the second one, because why? If the sources of the history, if the sources, which is the history of science of development part, is is worthless, okay, and is creditless, the credibility is not high, and then the trustworthiness is low, and then it can't use uh, as a backbone of your analysis. Yeah, so it makes sense. And then so this is a 1, 2, 3, and then the fourth one is a track of records. Yeah, track of record, it could be the world, it could be everything, and it also could be your own track of records. Yeah. So what is a track of records? For example, in the past, uh, uh, in few days ago, we talk about uh, we talk about, actually we can use one investment metrics to try to filter out a lot of things, and then which is the metric, the investment metric, which is the annual compound rate of the returns. Yeah, and then we just need one metric, and then we do long term analysis, which is the time periods, the duration of the time must be long, and then we can filter out a lot of things, and then we can just rely on this thing. We can just rely on one thing, investment metrics, which is the annual compound rate of returns, and then we can make decisions. Yeah, and this is so powerful. But what is the background? The background is the history, is a track of records. Yeah, so you can use a track of record of world of somebody's to justify your assumptions, to justify your hypothesis, to test it, to test the assumptions, to test your hypothesis, and then you can also use it to filter some other irrelevant things. Yeah, so this is a track of records. Yeah, for example, let's say, okay, some people say, yeah, this is a hot topic. Some people say inflation's in transitory nowadays. Yeah, because we kind of like experience very high inflations, or relatively high inflation. It is in this 1 to 2 years, and many countries say that these inflations is transitory. So that means it's not permanent. But if we look at the history, throughout the history, is there any time the inflation come out and will go down again, go down back to the current level? It seems like it didn't. Yeah. So you just use this information, this piece of information, and yeah, of course, the sources, which, and also the this information must be genuine. Yeah, this is the one of the important thing which I also mentioned just now already, and this information is relevant. Yeah. So by uh by fulfill these two criteria, you can use this to analysis. And then this is a track of records. And what is a track of records? The track of record of seller, the track of record of wholesaler. the track record of retailer, the track record of supplier, manufacturer. Did they reduce the price? Did they reduce the price back to the normal level? Yeah, some will, some yes, and for some manufacturer, no. Yeah, and you kind of like find out, and then you try to find how many percent of seller, how many percent of seller, how many percent of producer will reduce the price, how many will just keep the price on the normal level. Yeah, and then you can use many different kind of strategy, different kind of judgments, and then you get your own probability. Yeah, maybe the probability is subjective. Yeah, but without the history, you can't do the analysis. So this is a track of records. It could be the world, it could be everything, and it also could be your own history, your own track of records. Yeah, study your own track of records and analyze it. You will benefit from it. Yeah. For example, it not necessarily needs the data analysis. It could be information analysis. Yeah. For example, you can, yeah, every time we do self-reflection is actually one is actually is one conductions of information analysis. We analyze whether our behavior, which is our past behavior, whether we did it wrong or right, or maybe we try to find out, yeah, tomorrow I need to make a decision, or maybe at this current moment I need to make a big decision, and I try to find out, I try to think whether what decision I should make, A or B, or maybe I cannot, maybe there's a third option, which is C. Yeah, and then you also are thinking, you also are doing information analysis. Yeah. So yeah, this is all my point. Yeah, and also one last thing, which is I think it's few years sorry, I mean it's few months ago, in this 1 or 2 months, I think it's in this month, one of my colleagues asked me, yeah, because we discussed about the educations, and then I I uh, I tell her that I actually think that in our in this environment, in this our current environment, macro environment, micro environment, societal environments, and no matter in Singapore, no, I mean not Singapore, I mean Malaysia. Yeah, for Malaysians, I actually think that this is not wise. It's not wise to study college. Yeah, to start to get a bachelor degree, or maybe yeah, maybe maximums you get a diploma and that's enough, or maybe some people just get the secondary living school certificate and that's enough, and then you can learn everything from internet. Yeah, you learn by yourself, and the certificate will not rescue you, will not save your life, will not save you from poverty, will not give you a stable income, will not give you a high income, will not ensure you will live a happy life, you will live a secure, and you won't fall into trouble, you won't fall into financial trouble in future. It can't guarantee you. The certificate cannot guarantee you anymore, like in the past. Yeah. And also we need to study about the opportunity cost of study the degree. Go to university or go to college. Yeah, so yeah, this is something I tell her, and then we discuss some other things.
Yeah.
And then I actually tell her that for me personally, in my very, very humble opinions, Uh, there are few subject which is the most important to me. Yeah, very very extreme important to me, and everyone should learn that, in my humble opinions. So the first is economics. Yeah, the first economics, and then
Mm.
the second is history. Yeah, history rank number two. Sorry. The second is psychology. Yeah, it's okay.
Mm.
The second is psychology. Psychology rank two, and the
Yeah.
third is history. Yeah, and the third is history, and then the fourth is mathematics or statistics. Yeah, and the mathematics or statistics you don't need to uh, you don't need to learn very difficult mathematics or very complicated statistical model a model to analyze some things, and you don't need that. You just need basic. Yeah, maybe for statistics you just need the basic probability. Yeah, you just need to really really deeply understand what is probability and how to use probability in your life. And mathematics is you need to know how to use mathematics to make decisions, to make logical thinking, to think, to analyze, to make decisions. Yeah. So I give her one very very simple example, and this example I also give you in the past, which is, let's say, try to imagine you are Malaysians and you are in, let's say you are in JB, you're
Mm.
thinking whether you want to do a startups as an accountant, okay, as an accountant, or maybe you go to Singapore to work and exploit the uh uh the currency arbitrage. Yeah, so the currency arbitrage, so that uh, you make these kind of decisions, you are doing decisions, and you may think a lot of reasons. Yeah, maybe I miss yeah, some people will involve like family, will involve like friends, will involve like uh the relationships, business relationship, or all that, and
Mm.
but uh but try to exclude them, and then you look at the main important thing, which is which one is more profitable. Yeah, which decision is more profitable. If you look at this thing and you try to do analysis, what would you do? Maybe also use history as a background. And uh, some people also do a startup in Malaysia, and also maybe their result is good, maybe their result is bad. They need to work very, very hard. They don't have time to sleep, to eat, all that. But the expenses is very high. They couldn't find the staff, all these problem, or maybe they
Mm.
couldn't find a customer, or the market price is low. They can use all of these things to do analysis, this history. Yeah. And but if you can combine with mathematics, it will give you a higher level. It will give you a higher level and higher quality of analysis. Let's say, for example, you
Mm.
get off that thing, you get off the information.
Yeah.
Okay, the first, for example, you find out if you go to Singapore to work, what salary you can get. Let's say, for example, you can get, let's say, for example, you can get like uh two, let's say, for example, 2,200 Sing dollar. Okay, for example, this for example, and then
Mm.
in Malaysia, in JB, if you do startup, average how much you can charge for one customer. Yeah. Okay, so maybe you find out, okay, average you can charge 700 for one customer, and you need, maybe you need 3 days to finish the task in order to earn that 700 ringgit. Okay, so 700 for 3 days.
Mm.
Yeah, for one account, for one customer. Okay, and then You try to find out what's your business expenses. Yeah. And then you try to find out what's the gross profit for one task. Okay. Let's say maybe it's 600. Okay, let's say 600 per one customer. Okay, this is the gross profit. And then um we don't include the fixed costs, we don't include the expenses. Okay. And also we try to find out if you stay in Singapore, if you stay in Malaysia, what expenses you need to operate. Okay. And then when you go to Singapore to work, what expenses you still need to incur, you still need to pay. Let's say the house installment, and also the car installment. This is something that you need to pay. Yeah, of course you can sell your house, you can sell your car, but most people won't do that. Most people will not do that. So you still need to pay, no matter you are in Malaysia or no matter you're in Singapore, you still need to pay the expenses. So you exclude those expenses, you still need to pay, regardless regardless you living, regardless your living place. And then you find out what's the additional expenses you need to pay, you need to spend if you go to Singapore to work. The first is the rental in Singapore. Yeah. And also the marginal uh, food expenses or transportation expenses. Yeah. Which is the additional. Maybe in Malaysia you still need to eat. Yeah, of course you need to eat. You're human. And maybe every month you just need to spend 300, let's say, for example. And when you go to Singapore, you need to spend 200 Sing dollar. So if you convert the currency, so it's additional additional 300. Is it additional 300 Malaysian ringgit? Yeah. So you do all these analysis. Yeah. Yeah. Of course, you need to get the data, which is the market price. Yeah. And then you can start to do the calculation. Okay. Let's say in Malaysia, 600. You do a startup 600 per one customer. And then okay, and then also in Singapore, if you, let's say you deduct all the expenses, the additional expenses, and then you find out you can save, let's say for example, you can save 1,000 Sing dollar every month. Okay, let's say for example. And then of course this amount is different. It's different from people to people. I just use 1,000. Okay, and 1,000 if you convert to Malaysian ringgit, let's say you times 3.05. Okay, yeah, and then you times 12 months, so you get around 36,000 Malaysian ringgit to 37,000 Malaysian ringgit. And let's say we just use we use a floor, which is 36,000 Malaysian ringgit, and then you try to find out how many customers you need to get. You need to get in order to save the same amount of money in Malaysia if you do a startup. Yeah. So okay, let's say you want to save 36,000, and then you divide it by 600. Yeah, so this is 1 year. 1 year you need to get 60 customers, and all of them need to pay you money. You can't tolerate the bad debt. Yeah. If you have bad debt, you need to get one more customer. Yeah. And then yeah, you need to get 60 customers, and then you find out, okay, 60 customer, okay. And then if I times 3, because I will spend 3 days for one customer. And then you find out, okay, 180 days. Okay. So it seems like okay, right? But you need to understand accounting. You have peak periods. Yeah, maybe half of them, or maybe the quarter of them are in the same periods. Yeah, let's say half of them are in the same period. Let's say which is 30. Yeah, 60 divided by 2, half of them, 30, are in the same period, which is a peak period. And then you times 3. Oh shit, you find out you need 90 days. You need 90 days to finish the account in the peak period. Can you do that? Maybe yes, maybe no. Yeah. And then after that, you try to find out, okay, I need to get 60 customers. And yeah, I just start the business. How can I get these 60 customers in short time? Yeah, can I get it in 1 month? Can I get it in 2 months? Or can I get it within 1 year? Can I have a stable customer relationship? Can I have this stable 60 customer in 1 year? I can get 60 customer, or I need to spend two years, or I need to spend 3 years. So all of these things is the opportunity cost. Yeah, of doing the startup. Yeah. So you can do your analysis, and every people have different situation. Maybe some people already recognize a lot of customer, and 60 is not a problem for them, and they just so that they just need to find out whether they can complete all the account. Yeah. Before deadline, they just need to worry about that. And also this is, yeah, and if you want to hire one more staff, and then your cost will increase, right? Yeah, so that you need to get more customer. Yeah. And yeah, so this is something that if you combine the history with mathematics, yeah, and you do the maybe data analysis, or maybe information analysis, maybe cost and benefit analysis, economics analysis, and then you can find that, yeah, you can make the decisions easier. And then also you can make the decision objectively, or more objectively, or less subjectively. Yeah. Yeah. So the first, economics; second, psychology; third, history; and the fourth, mathematics. And then also the big one. The big one is English. English is also important. But what's the most important part of English is not the speaking, it's actually the reading, and also the ability to read, and also the willingness to read, and then also the burdens, the stress of reading English. Yeah, like in the past, I feel stressed to read English book, and I can't keep reading in English book. But nowadays, most of my book reading is English. And all this is important because many information is in English, in English language. Yeah, if you want to access the higher quality of information, or maybe a broader information, you need to know English. Yeah. Okay. So this is my strength for today.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Anything want to add in?
No.
Okay. So that's all for today's conversation. How do you feel? Did you enjoy the conversation? Please tell us what you think of our conversation. And we are not native speakers. If you found any vocabulary mistake that we made, please also comment to let us know, because we want to learn more and improve ourselves. Remember to like, subscribe to us. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.